So, I'm going to try to keep this one short. But there was another mass shooting in San Bernardino, California yesterday. And don't get me wrong, that's wrong. Anybody that goes and willfully takes the life of another person that isn't under direct threat from that person, or somebody else isn't under direct threat from that person, is 100% wrong. There's no way to justify that behavior. It doesn't matter if you were mad. It doesn't matter if you were insane. There is no justifiable reason to behave in such a manner. It would appear, and even now, I mean, it's almost a day after it occurred, or coming up on a day after it occurred, and even now it would seem that this isn't your standard mass shooting, but it also would seem that it perhaps has political ties, and so I won't go too deeply into that, but every time one of these things happen, and they happen too often, one time is too often, every time one of these things happen, the people, society, or many individuals within a society cry out that enough is enough. Let's enact tougher gun laws. Let's make it harder to attain weapons. Those kind of things. I'm not even going to address that right now. I'm going to address something else that is, I've done the research on it, so I'm fairly comfortable speaking about it. Now, the numbers I have from 2010, but I have no reason to believe that they are significantly different in any other year within the last 10. As a matter of fact, if you go back 20 years, the murder numbers are different because they're much higher. So there is much lower numbers as far as homicide-related or firearm-related homicide is concerned. So in 2010, a little less than 12,000 people were officially confirmed murdered in a homicide. This is FBI statistics. A little less than 12,000 people were murdered in the United States. Of those 12,000 people, about 9,000, I think it's a little less than 9,000. I think it's 8,700, 88, 8,900, something like that. About 8,900 people were, their murderer used a firearm. So about 9,000 people. The person who killed those people used a firearm in doing so. In the medical community, in 2010, there were about 180,000 deaths attributed to either malpractice, negligence, or outright malfeasance, meaning the intentional harm was caused to a person by a member of the medical or members of the medical establishment that led to that person's death. So 180,000 people, I think it's roughly a little more than 180,000 people, but we can round these things. So 180,000 people were lost their lives due to medical negligence or malfeasance. That is a factor of 20. 20 times more people lost their lives going to the doctor than did through a firearm-related homicide. Nobody ever screams out about, we need to do something about this. Nobody ever ever says it. Yet you're 20 times more likely to die going to the doctor than you are be involved in a firearm-related homicide. 20 times, that's a factor of 20, that's a huge number. But when you compare those numbers across the board to the number of people that are American citizens, they become, I hate to use the term, but they become nearly statistically moot, meaning that as a percentage of the population, they are so few, it's in the hundreds of thousands or millions of a percent, something like that. That might be wrong. It might be in the 10,000s of percent, but whatever is the case, they're so few that statistical probability says if you're watching this video, you will never know somebody that was involved whose death was caused by medical negligence or malfeasance, let alone somebody whose death was caused by murder, let alone somebody whose murder was caused or who a firearm was related in their murder. So in the grand scope of things, we live in a very safe society, very safe. And not only that, those murder numbers and violent crime numbers have been downtrending for decades now. More than 20 years, those numbers have been downtrending for homicide in general and for violent crime or homicide in particular and violent crime in general. And yet, with every chance that you'll never even know somebody that was involved in one of these things, let alone be involved in them yourself, every time they happen, people scream out for safety, 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 safety. Now, I don't want to say, and I don't want to imply that deaths in these manners are not tragic. They're absolutely tragic. And if we can do something to curtail them without infringing on the innate rights of the individual, then I am all for that. I'm all for addressing those things. I might, in another video, state how I believe we can address these things in a better manner, but I'm all for addressing those things. But the point of this video, the point I wanted to make was that not only are these very rare occurrences when you apply them to the number of people in American society, they are our society in general is a very safe society, and it's like the people that are scared of flying in an airplane. There's no reason to be scared of flying in an airplane. Your chance of dying in an airplane accident is statistically moot. It's not going to happen. Now, I understand that's a little superlative, and that yes, somebody is going to die in an airplane accident. Somebody's going to die probably today or certainly this year in an airplane accident, but it's probably not going to be you. Significantly, statistically improbable that you die in an airplane accident, or that you die by a firearm-related homicide, let alone that you die in a mass shooting, which I think all the mass shootings combined on a yearly basis don't even equate to 1% of total firearm homicides. I know it's less than 10%, but I think it's something like 1%. Don't even equate to 1% of firearm-related homicides. So people, I understand it's visceral, and I understand that when people are killed in this manner, that it impacts people emotionally. But emotional responses are rarely logical, reasoned, thought-out responses. And politicians take this opportunity politicians don't want you to have guns. And a lot of them take this opportunity to promote, stoke the fire, promote this fear that, oh, you're the one that's going to be involved, or your kid's the one that's going to be involved, when statistically that's simply not the case in any way, shape, or form. And I just wanted to address those statistics. There are many other facets of the gun control debate, and there are many other facets of what goes into and the approach people take to gun rights and gun control. But I just wanted to let people know the statistics are stacked significantly against you ever knowing somebody involved in one of these instances, let alone being involved yourself. And that's really all I wanted to get across this morning. So hope everybody has a safe day, and I'm done.